Hey everybody, here in East Palestine with Jordan. Jordan's a resident here in East Palestine and has been affected like many others by this derailment, unfortunately. I guess let's kind of go back to the beginning. I guess how long have you lived in East Palestine and yeah.
I've actually lived there my whole life since I was a little girl, and then I moved to Lisbon and moved back, and then the train derailed and I've been getting sick ever since.
So let's go back to kind of, night of the derailment. How did you find out about it?
I was actually working at the nursing home, and I got off and I was just relaxing, and I heard a loud noise and let all my dogs inside, and then all of a sudden there was this horrible smell outside, and I called the police department and they told me to evacuate, and I had breathed in chemicals and I had a raw rash all over my lips that took about 3 weeks to get rid of. I luckily got rid of it before my birthday, so that was stressful. And then just recently, like when it rains, my basement floods with chemicals and my nose starts gushing blood. I choke on it. It's terrible.
Wow. So I guess first off, so your home is fairly close to Sulphur Run from what we were talking about, right?
Sulphur Run actually runs right in my backyard. Okay. And every day there's people coming down through my backyard dragging toxic chemicals up, and I mean, they won't even, it is what it is, but it's stressful.
Absolutely. And you're saying you can actually see some of the chemicals kind of coming up like through the basement almost when it floods or something?
Yeah,
like
there's like suds, and there was suds in the creek that I looked at, and then there's like this rainbow color in my basement, like in the water, and I've been having to go down there myself with the sub pump and empty the water out. So, and Norfolk Southern told me that they're not going to be helping me relocate. They can do $250 a week to feed me, and that's not enough for me to even leave my home and stay somewhere else.
Right. And again, I mean, we've run into this with dozens of people at this point that, the Norfolk Southern Assistance Center, the rules will change. 1 week it'll be this, 1 week it'll be that, or not even that consistent. It'll be more so like depending on who you talk to.
I know. And my house hasn't even been tested. It's not in priority for Norfolk Southern, but I'm getting sick every single day, whether it be a cough, a bloody nose, just fatigued. I mean, it's terrible.
And still to this point, it's still affecting you in that way.
Yes, and it's just been getting like progressively worse for me. Like my cough, my allergies, my nosebleeds. Like at first it was like one nosebleed here and there, and now it's constant. Like I have to worry about what I'm wearing because I'm scared I'm gonna get blood on my shirt.
Yeah, that's outrageous. Obviously, you shouldn't need to be dealing with that. So you've tried to relocate essentially with Norfolk Southern. They've offered you $250 a week. Obviously, most of the hotels in the area that will maybe get you a night and a half. Yeah. It's more like $150 a night or so for any of the area hotels. I mean, I'm curious, have you tried to go back to ask for that sort of, for help in that way, or is it they've just made it difficult?
That, because I was staying at my family's house, and she literally has been letting me stay, and they were helping me with relocation and everything I needed, and then all of a sudden they changed their mind and said that I needed a notarized paper stating that I'm staying there for them to help me.
Gotcha.
And,
Okay.
I mean, that's fine. I would have done that, but that's just, why should I need to prove myself for you to help me for making me sick?
Right. No, absolutely. And there's going to be a lot of people in a situation where their name might not be on the lease.
And I'm only 21 years old. I mean, I have a family history of cancer, heart disease, you name it. So I'm scared myself. I have immune problems, and they just don't care.
Yeah. Again, I mean, this is someone who was living with Sulphur Run, which is still contaminated to this day, in your backyard, essentially.
What I don't understand is that they've helped other people to relocate and offered to buy out their house, but every time I ask for help, I'm shut down and made to feel like I'm begging almost, and I'm not. I'm getting sick. I need help.
I'm curious, have you done anything to try about getting any of, we're talking to residents who've been doing the urine tests for vinyl chloride and whatnot. Is that something you've tried to do? I know that it's been difficult.
Went for blood testing, and they said they were going to test for vinyl chloride, and all they did was a metabolic panel. and it didn't really test for anything, and I'm still getting sick. So, and I got a chest x-ray, and they told me I have no pneumonia, and it's hard to tell if my cough could be related to the train derailment, and it could be anything. Then they said the same thing about the burns on my lips. I mean, you know what I mean? But it's just, I know that if there's a burn on my lip and I touch it and it feels like a stove burn, that it's not my chapped lips, you know what I mean?
Right. And it's not like these sorts of things that you've experienced have happened before this sort of thing. This is new.
Yeah, it's definitely new for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of, at this point, the fact that you all are needing to still go ask Norfolk Southern, the people who kind of caused all these issues in the first place, and get their permission, essentially, to relocate.
And they send stuff in the mail saying that they're prioritizing and helping and testing people's property. Well, why isn't mine tested then? Why haven't I been a priority to Norfolk Southern?
Right. So you haven't been able to get the residential air tests or house tests done in your home?
They say they're doing it all around the creek, but I want it for my house, not what you guys want to do on your own and keep from me.
And the unfortunate reality is even the residential air tests that they have done in people's homes, from experts that I'm talking with, are mostly inadequate.
It's not even like near my house, like it's all the way out on the road of the other side of my house. They haven't tested my basement for the rainbow chemicals in my basement. They haven't tested my water, and it's been giving me hives. Every time I want to do dishes or take a shower, I get hives from the time I do it till the time I go to sleep.
So while using the water from the tap?
Yes.
Wow. So, and again, I mean, it's another area where the testing has been so inconsistent. The results have been extremely complicated to understand for everyday folks like you and me and other folks who live here. But even for experts, I mean, there are experts who are coming out. Dr. Welton wrote an open letter to the EPA, head of the EPA, Michael Reagan, essentially saying, this is a disaster the way you all are handling this, and you're giving these people a list of 200 really complicated chemicals with how much of it is present in their well water without explaining any of the information.
I know. It's just really stressful, and that they're not offering any help. And when I went there, they were angry with me, and they got loud with me and dismissed me, and that's not helping anybody. I get they want to cover it up, but I mean, there's people that are going to die from this. There's animals that have died from this. It's not okay.
Right, and right now, folks are dealing with issues like you've talked about: bloody noses, sore throats, burning eyes, all of these things.
My animals have been having a lot of stomach issues as well. Even though I don't let them drink, they still drink the rainwater when they can get the chance. They're out in my soil. I mean, it worries me what I don't know and what they're not telling me.
Absolutely, and the scary stuff, unfortunately, too, is sort of yet to come. I mean, the real question is, in 5 years, in 10 years, are we going to start to see higher rates of cancers in the area? A lot of the chemicals on board the train are carcinogens. That's a real concern. Vinyl chloride in particular, as well as many of the byproducts of vinyl chloride. So. And
I was trying to get a loan and move, and I tried to get a USDA loan, and they said they're not offering help to people of East Palestine because FEMA's not involved. So that was stressful too, and I'm like, well, I thought FEMA was helping us, you know what I mean?
And I think part of that has to do with, as well, for some reason, the governor of Ohio still has not declared a state of emergency over this. If this wasn't worthy of a state of emergency, I don't know what is.
I know, right?
Yeah, because at that point, the best of my understanding, it seems as if additional federal resources would be able to come in and help. They've they extended the window in which the governor could do that. If you're going to extend the window, why not just do it?
And I mean, USDA loans are supposed to be for people in unsafe and unsanitary living, and I don't know what gets more unsafe and unsanitary than this, so little help would be appreciated,
Absolutely agreed. And I mean, at this point, what is your take on the kind of response that has happened from state officials, from federal officials, including your senators and folks like this? I mean, people will come and seemingly kind of come for a photo op or something, but I haven't seen any real push forward on legislation. I mean, there was some talk about some potential legislation to prevent something like this happening in the future.
To get into politics, but they're just covering it all up. They're just going to brush it past like it never happened, just like all the other train derailments. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. But it's
Yeah.
serious, deadly chemicals, so something needs to be done about it. It's not like just any empty car
No,
train that derailed. It's serious vinyl chloride, dioxins, cancerous chemicals. And I had chemical burns. It just terrifies me, honestly.
And I mean, it's not even like it's one, I know you mentioned you don't want to get into politics, and we don't have to. It's bad because it's both sides of the aisle here. I mean,
Right.
It's not like
no
there's
one's offering help. I mean,
exactly. And there was some talk, Senators Vance and Sherrod, Senator Brown have talked about, the bipartisan rail legislation about a month and a half ago. That was kind of in the news. People were talking about it.
I even have
been a while,
video recordings of the testing companies telling me that I'm safe. And clearly I'm not safe.
Right. And again, a lot of those same testing companies, the contractors hired by either the EPA or the railroad, the US EPA themselves, Mark Durno, who's an official from the EPA who spoke at a town hall here a couple weeks ago, admitted himself that the devices that they're using for the residential air testing, at least one of the chemicals of concern, wouldn't actually show up on that device until it was 5 times above the action level, because that device is only meant to pick it up at a certain threshold.
Right.
But they can tell you that it's safe, to your point.
Yeah, it's just really not fair to me. I mean, I care about my future of having children. I already might have some infertility issues. I mean, we just don't know, and they're just not helping.
I guess if there's anything else that you think people from outside of East Palestine need to know about what's still going on here, what is your big kind of message, your big takeaway for folks what do you guys need?
We need help from officials, the mayor. Someone needs to do something. I mean, it's just being brushed under the rug, and I'm getting sick. I've lived here my whole life. I went to school here. I went to nursing school. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I wanted to go back to school in the fall, and now I'm worried about moving instead of going back to school because I have toxic chemicals in my basement.
It seems like there's this kind of like rift in town right now of folks who are
It's just totally
still
unsafe. That's what I want people to know, is it's not safe here. They're lying to us.
Yep, and that's I agree. It seems like there's this rift, though, of folks who are sounding like you on your side of this, saying, people are still getting sick. We're not getting answers from any of these agencies. And then there's another segment of people in town who are kind of saying, like, yep, everything's basically back to normal now. Things are okay. And it's a weird divide. I'm curious your thoughts.
They had like free vouchers for the dairy mill. Well, I live right by the dairy mill. I didn't get a free voucher. Not that that matters, but I mean, they're not testing my house, but they can go help the dairy mill. You know what I mean? That's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
They're there to work, not to live.
No, absolutely. So yeah, we'll ultimately see where all of this ends up going.
All their help is going towards shutting people up. That's all it is. And I'm, for one, exhausted. I've been having panic attacks. I dropped my keys in the lake from so much stress. I mean, this is just unacceptable. There's no answers I'm being given, and I want answers. I mean, I'm going to have to leave my house here, all my important things that matter to me, and just leave. And it's going to be worth nothing because Norfolk Southern.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Unless there's anything else you want to share.
That was all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jordan. Well, let's stay in touch. And if you have any updates, definitely reach out.